Hello and welcome to Gravitas Plus. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. It's day 24 of the Russia-Ukraine war and things are going from bad to worse. What started as a fight between two nations is slowly dividing the entire world. What comes next is yet to be defined, but many believe a new Cold War is upon us, a war that could drag us into an old world, a world of arms race, espionage, proxy wars, and new rivalries. Look at the developments. The US has passed its biggest defense spending bill. Germany is buying nuclear-capable F-35A fighter jets. Slovakia has charged 2 people with spying for Russia. Saudi Arabia is under pressure to release more oil to Europe. Cold War politics is also making a comeback. There are 2 clear power blocks. On one side, we have the anti-Russia camp, led by the United States of America, aided by the collective might of NATO, supported by a host of democratic countries. Together, they're painting this war as a fight between autocracy and democracy. It's another matter that they're quoting autocracies like Venezuela and authoritarian states like China for support. Now, this is the pro-Russia camp. Belarus, Armenia, Central Asian republics, also Syria, North Korea and Cuba, some sworn enemies of the US. All these countries blame Western hegemony and NATO expansionism for this crisis. But what about the countries which are in neither camp? And there are many such. They don't want to take sides in this war, but they're under immense pressure to do so. On top of this pressure list is India. It shares close ties with both camps. America is India's largest trading partner. Russia is India's biggest defense partner. America is India's quad ally against China. Russia is India's time-tested strategic ally. New Delhi does not want to pick a side. The US understands India's dilemma. This is what the State Department said 2 days after the war began.
And we know India has a relationship with Russia that is distinct from the relationship that we have with Russia. Of course, that is okay.
Well, this was 4 weeks ago. Now the tone is changing. There are anguished tweets, sanctimonious statements, lectures on morality. The US is preaching India how to choose friends wisely because these choices will apparently decide India's place in history.
Where you want to stand when the history books are written in this moment in time. And support for the Russian leadership is support for an invasion that obviously is having a devastating impact.
So much virtue signaling. That's one of the reasons why America is losing allies left, right and center. They preach, not partner. India has been under immense pressure, but so far, it's been firm in exercising its strategic autonomy. On at least 3 occasions, India has abstained from voting on resolutions condemning Russia. First, at the United Nations Security Council, then at the UN General Assembly, and then again at the UN Human Rights Council. On each occasion, India called for an immediate ceasefire, stressed on peaceful coexistence, and urged for diplomatic talks. And India was not alone in doing this. The UAE, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, even Pakistan took this line. But for some reason, India's abstentions have upset the West the most. They say India has chosen the aggressor's side. And this has apparently weakened its democratic credentials. New Delhi says it has only acted in national interest. Its first priority was to evacuate its citizens, 20,000 of them, from Ukraine, mostly students. And the speed at which this crisis unfolded made evacuation a big challenge. India was caught off guard. It could not risk the safety of its citizens. It needed security assurances from both sides to evacuate its people. In fact, it is said that the evacuation plan worked only because India kept its lines of communication with Russia open. Well, others argue if that was the case, why did Moscow not warn New Delhi about the war? It could have taken its people out earlier. But that's geopolitics for you. You cannot depend on anyone too much. Atmanirbhar is the name of the game. India's second priority was to secure its strategic interests. Russia accounts for 60% of India's defense requirements. Bilateral trade, $8.1 billion. Collaborations run from G20 to the SCO. And above everything else, Russia's support for India at the UN is unparalleled. Moscow has always taken care of Indian interests. I can recall at least 3 occasions when Moscow has either used the veto power or voted to block a resolution against India. In 1957, it blocked a proposal to deploy UN troops in Kashmir. In 1961, it voted against a resolution asking India to withdraw from Goa. And in 1962, it blocked a resolution on Kashmir brought by Pakistan. Guess who was on the wrong side of history on all these occasions? The United States of America. It backed all these resolutions against India. I know the equations have changed since. Today, we have the most US-friendly government that India has seen in the last 60 years. But history should not be forgotten. Neither should be America's record vis-a-vis its allies. India has to prioritize national security. It is located in a difficult neighborhood. To its west lies the terror state of Pakistan. To its east lies an expansionist China, two hostile nuclear-armed neighbors. If India sides with the US, it will push Russia further into China's embrace, and that's the last thing we want, a Russia-China axis threatening India. As it is, China remains a problem. It is hedging its bets, not siding with either camp. But America and Russia are wooing it, both of them. America wants China to dump and isolate Russia. Russia wants China to tide over American sanctions. For India, the situation is already far from ideal. Plus, there's the economic impact. The war is hurting budgets. Crude oil prices have shot up. Russia is offering cheaper oil to India. India is buying it. And the West is having a meltdown. Western experts say if India keeps buying Russian oil, it could soon get sanctioned. Quick facts. Russian oil is not sanctioned yet. Europe is still buying Russian oil and gas. NATO countries are buying Russian energy. So they can have both Russian gas and the moral high ground. India can have neither. Classic Western hypocrisy. Anyway, coming back to history, America's record is worth dwelling on. In 1971, when India went to war with Pakistan to liberate Bangladesh, the West openly sided with Pakistan. The US and the UK sent warships to the Indian Ocean. It was Moscow which came to India's help. A fleet of Russian naval vessels reached the Indian Ocean. They encircled American and British warships and stopped them from entering India's territorial waters. When India conducted its first nuclear test, the West was critical. They slammed India. In contrast, Moscow stressed on the peaceful nature of the test. The same West, which repeatedly undermined India's security concerns, now asks India what it's doing for European security. And this is a question that India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar was asked at the Munich Security Conference last month. It's hard not to be skeptical here. 2 years back, when Chinese troops attacked India in the middle of a pandemic, what did the West do to ensure India's security? It looked away. There were no resolutions, no sanctions, no assistance, and very little condemnation. It was Moscow that played a role, in fact. It dialed down tensions between Beijing and New Delhi. Russian defense supplies helped India counter the PLA's aggression on the border. Should India dump a dependable partner to please an unreliable one? And suppose for a moment India agrees to condemn Russia. What difference will it make? Europe has been condemning Russia. Has the war stopped? America has been threatening Russia. Has the war stopped? Voting against Russia will not stop the war. Arbitration and mediation will. Again, history is proof. In the 1960s, when the Cold War was at its peak, it was the non-aligned movement led by India which helped diffuse threats. Non-aligned countries acted as cushioning forces. Today, India is a strategic partner of both Russia and America. Today's Russia is not the Soviet power it used to be. It depends on China. It also has leverage with China. And it is the clear aggressor in Ukraine. Today's America is a receding superpower. It has lost wars in stature. Our world is changing. The world order is changing. India has tried to shed the hesitancies of history to build new alliances. But India cannot be held hostage to those alliances. This is a tough balancing act, but there's no doubt about where India's priorities lie in securing its own national interest. This is not New Delhi's war.